Hi, and welcome on behalf of Dwain Lynch, President and Executive Director of Grace Forward Steps Reentry Program. Did you know that around 650,000 returning citizens and recovering addicts are released into the community every year? Two-thirds of that number are either rearrested or relapsed. More than half of that number return to prison or treatment within 1 to 3 years. The Grace Forward Steps Reentry Program is a faith-based nonprofit organization with a mission to house, educate, and assist returning citizens and recovering addicts to reacclimate themselves back into society. Our vision is to reduce recidivism and relapse by offering services and tools to our participants that will help them to stabilize themselves effectively and safely back into the community, helping them become productive citizens, reconnecting with their loved ones, and reforming their lives for better living. We are asking for your support in providing life-changing opportunities for our participants. Every contribution saves someone's life. Every dollar helps, and we are always grateful for any and every amount received. So do us a favor, go text the letters GFSR to 1-833-536-0718. Thank you in advance for choosing to donate to our organization.
People seen it, but they just don't know. People seen it, but they just don't know.
So this is where it all ended for me. Everything in the street, this is where it ended for me. It's where I used to hang out, MLK and Park Lane. So when that police car cut that corner and locked me up, that's where it all ended. And we here today. It's crazy that to come back here, because this is also the place that I used to come and minister and pass out lunches and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm a real advocate for these people, because these people are me or were me. So I want to see them. I want to see them get delivered just like I did.
People seen it, but they just don't know.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Growing in Grace Ministries. Today we are joined by Executive Director of Grace Forward Steps,
Amen.
Dwain Lynch. I guess we'll be somewhat informal and somewhat formal. We just wanted to take the opportunity to talk about the outreach ministry of Growing in Grace Ministries, and particularly the reentry program. And so welcome to those of you that are watching right now. We know this is an impromptu broadcast, but we're happy to be here. We're happy to serve and do what God has called us to do. And this is the day that God has called us to do this. So, amen.
Amen.
All right. So we're just going to dive right in. We want to learn more about Grace Forward Steps, and we're excited to be here with the executive director. And so, Dwain,
Yes.
take us back to the beginning. What inspired you to start Grace Forward Steps Reentry Program?
Well, for the most part, I had been in and out of jails and institutions from the time I was like 11 years old until I was maybe, I think, around 38. And then around 38, I had I had gotten saved, and I was on my last year in a jail in North Carolina. And I was just sitting in the cell and asking God what He wanted me to do, and He told me two things. He said to write a book, and then I started thinking about, a reentry program, because I was thinking about all the times that I you know, had come home and failed staying in the community because it was just something missing. Every time I came home, there was something missing that led me back to jail. So I wanted to build a program that like fed the whole man, everything spiritually, financially, emotionally, life skills and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to build that kind of program to make sure that people had a winning chance.
A fighting chance to be successful.
Yeah.
And I can totally identify with it because I have a cousin of mine that was the same. He started going to the prison in the prison at a young age. He was more familiar with prison life
Yeah.
than he was with living on the outside.
Yeah.
And so when he would get out, he would always find ways to get back in.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really impactful. Grace Forward, that's a powerful name. So just describe to us how'd you come up with Grace Forward? Because when I think of it, you know what? This your interview, so I'm gonna let you tell me. Talk
Well,
about that.
actually, when I came up with the name, I had actually been studying grace at World Changers, and so pretty much everything that I did um, in that year or the years preceding had grace in it. Um, I was managing a Christian comedian at the time. His name was Grayson, so I changed his name to Son, Grace's son. And then when I thought about the program, and it was like it got to have grace in it, but what is the other part of that? So it's grace. It's moving forward in grace. That's basically what it means.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is powerful. Moving forward in
Yeah.
grace. Wow. Now, how do you see that impacting the people you'll be serving?
It impacts the people that I'll be serving because we are giving them the opportunity to, like turn their lives around, but it's also giving them the opportunity to put the pieces that were missing, put those pieces back together, and come out winning. You know.
So, how does faith
Mhm.
shape the mission and daily operations of your program? Because you call it in your material, it calls it a faith-based program. So, how does faith?
It's I called it a faith-based nonprofit organization simply because I walked away from jails and institutions by my faith in God. And from that point, all I wanted to do was show people that they can walk by faith just like I did. And so in thinking of it that way, I'm looking at it in a sense that this is a faith base, and it's just and it doesn't even really matter what denomination or what religion you're practicing. Faith is universal. It's universal to the point that you just got to believe in something. So if I'm believing that I can walk away from jail, or if I'm believing that I can put my family back together, if I'm believing that I can get a job and just be successful in society, I can do that. I can do that. So that's why it's a faith-based um, program.
So throughout the program,
Hmm.
faith is really shaping every aspect of it.
It's shaping your mind. It's shaping your mind. It's shaping your actions. It's shaping your everyday activities. It's just shaping your life in general.
So there are many challenges returning citizens face, many.
Yes.
We could probably make a whole list.
Yeah.
But without going into the list, let's talk about what gaps in the system were you most determined to close?
Well, being uh, engaged or caught up in that system for so long, if I would have known then what I know now, I probably would have got out of the system way before now. But what I learned over the years is that mass incarceration is a big business in this country. And while, you know, they use the word rehabilitation, that's not what I was seeing. I was seeing a revolving door. That's what I saw. I saw a revolving door. I saw young people and old people getting involved in the criminal justice system, and then they're just trapped in there, like, and in their mind, this is what's happening, but I'm trapped in here, and they thinking that this is the way it's supposed to be. But at the same time, what um what 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 I was seeing was is that the only way you win in this kind of system is if you change your mind,
Hmm.
if you change your environment, if you change, just the way you do things, that then that revolving door stops. It's not a revolving door anymore. And that's what I thought for a long time. I thought that jails and institutions was my destiny because I started so young and I ended up in that system until I was 38, almost 40 years old. So I was just like, maybe this is just my destiny, but that's a lie. That's a lie. And, we just have to put things in place that say, okay, you did this, you went astray, but you can cap that up. And to be honest, my life for the past 20 years is the way that I want my program to be. What has happened in my life in the past 20 years is exactly how I want the participants to be successful in my program. That makes sense.
Amen. Absolutely. Okay, so walk us through what happens when someone first enters the Grace Forward program. What does the intake and welcome look like?
Well, the intake is, it's an interview process that we will go through and basically, and just being real candid about it, I just need to see where your head is, because I can technically talk to you and know or understand if your mission to get out and stay out of jail is for real. So it's an interview process where we talk to the individual, we, see where his head is or her head is, where they're trying to go, and if they're really, really, sincere about getting there, about staying there, So, I mean, it's going to be a vigorous interview process, and just seeing what they need, what they don't need, if it's education that they need, to make sure that they get it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just job training that they need, to make sure that they get it. If it's, life skills or reconnecting with family, I want to make sure that they get these kind of things, because when any of these components are missing, that's what sends people back to jail or back into treatment.
Okay. It sounds like your intake process is what many would call, and it was on the tip of my tongue before I opened my mouth. But it's like an evaluation, or I wouldn't say
Evaluation.
evaluation. That's the wrong word. Um, what was those things that they would give y'all in school? An assessment.
Yes,
It's an
absolutely.
assessment. You're
Yes.
just assessing where the person is,
Yes.
where they'd like to be, and then mapping it out in between.
Yeah, and then just giving them our, well, giving them our perspective on what they need to do to get there, and we come to a common agreement to, you know, I want to do this. I want to get my life together. This is the way we're going. So we're basically thinking up treatment programs, what they have to do, because they have a limited amount of time to pull this stuff together once they're released from either incarceration or a drug program. They have limited time, but I believe and I know that they can be successful in this time period, because I actually did it.
Now, you put together a 12-month journey split
Hmm.
into reentry and rehabilitation.
Hmm.
What happens at each stage?
Well, they will actually, you know, be welcomed, come into the house, be welcomed in the house. If it's anything that they need at that time, whether it be, you know, uh, clothes, toiletries, whatever the case may be, when they come in, and then once they're in, there's a probation period, and once they go through the probation period, which will probably be about, I don't know, maybe 30 days, um, then they will start their programming.
Mm-hmm.
They would talk to counselors. We would figure out what they need. If they need IDs, or transportation to go find a job, then we would put those kind of things in place. So
Amen. Um, so, what kinds of transformations do you anticipate on seeing with the various different participants? Are there people that you know that have gone through similar programs that you got some? I mean, you got your own personal story,
yeah,
which is just amazing.
yeah.
But are there other people that you know that kind of took a similar path to yours, that you have a story that you might tell, or something about your own life?
Well, I I do know quite a few people that have been um, successful in walking away from incarceration, or you know drug abuse, and have never returned. I do have quite a few friends that were actually more successful than me, and they came home. They asserted themselves back into the community. They inserted themselves back into their families, or whatever the case may be. And then and they stayed that way. Me, it took me a minute to get there,
Hard
but
head, huh?
I still, yeah, yeah. But I applaud, those people, because it was watching them that one day made me say, okay, I know this could be done, because so and so did it, or so and so did it, or so and so did it. And I've been become like really good friends with quite a few people that have been successful with, just walking away from that life into a new life. So yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you have partnerships
Hmm.
with job training and vocational programs.
Yes.
Can you talk about some of those partnerships, some of those people that you know would welcome someone that is just coming out of prison and looking for employment.
Offender friendly.
Yeah, there you go. See, maybe I shouldn't be doing the interview.
It's quite a few, businesses and programs that are offender friendly. Things like and take for instance, Goodwill. Goodwill was my ticket out of unemployment, and they have a career center that you can either get a GED or you can train for different things like building maintenance and things like that, and then they'll put you on the job. So it's programs like that, and I have a few more that I'm hoping to partner with that I think would make for success for the people that are in the house.
Nice.
And,
So your program will offer room and board,
yes,
therapy,
yes,
job training,
yes,
and life skills.
yes,
This is comprehensive care.
yes.
How are you able to offer this under one roof? How do you envision this all being in the same place?
I can envision it because that's been my life. So I've been in multiple drug programs, multiple institutions, and while I was in those situations, I had what they called the pink cloud syndrome. And the pink cloud syndrome is that I'm in those situations, but I can see how this could work, or how I could be instrumental in helping other people get to that next level. So I think I had the pink cloud probably in my next to last year in treatment, and then once I was in treatment for the last time, then I just focused on how I was going to put this thing together. So, yeah.
So over 650,000 people return from prison every year.
Mhm.
And not return from prison, but get out of prison every year. And most return to prison within 3 years.
Mhm.
Why is this happening? And how is Grace Forward Steps going to change that story?
This is basically happening because the programs, or the halfway houses, or the drug programs, or whatever the case may be, are not really focused on helping the total man. The guys that are coming to those programs or into those halfway houses, that's revenue for them. That's revenue for them. So if they go out and catch another charge and go back to jail, that's just one more person that's going to go back to jail, come back out, and come through that program or come through that house. I don't want that. What I want them to come into my house, come into our house, get their life together, and then go out and help someone else get their life together. So
It's like paying it forward.
it's paying it forward. That's
Now,
what I want to teach people to do, to pay it forward, to get themselves together and then go out and help somebody else.
so I noticed in your logo, that's what it is. It's like somebody else is giving a hand and
Yeah.
lifting up somebody else. So in your program, when the people graduate from your program,
Mhm.
will they be allowed to come back and be volunteers? Is that a requirement of the program so they can kind of pay forward?
They can come back and be volunteers, and what I'm thinking is some of them will come back and work
Amen.
for the program. You know.
The numbers are heartbreaking, but they also highlight opportunity for your program.
Yeah.
Executive director, what keeps you from going so hard? What keeps you going so hard every day for this program? I mean, what is inspiring you on a daily basis to say, we got to do this? This is something the world needs. This is something this county needs.
Well, it inspires me every day because every day I wake up and I think about this program. I think about the 28, 29 years that I wasted, that I wasted in jails and institutions, and the 2.5 million people that are in jails and institutions today. But then you got this 650,000 people that are being released into the community every year. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if you look at it in a sense where 2/3 of those people are going back to jail within 1 to 3 years, they just recouping, you know, they're recouping revenue.
Hmm.
And by not giving them everything that they need to be in that house and allowing them to graduate, I'm gonna tell a quick story and then we could keep going. I had the opportunity of helping a young man that was in college, and he was connected to he was an intern for a halfway house. And what actually happened was he was going into this particular halfway house. He was teaching them um, to fill out resumes, how to dress for interviews, and stuff like this. And, he was taking them through a process, a program, so to speak. And then he was allowing them to graduate and, just go on to bigger and better things.
Hmm.
So
They created hope for him.
the um, the executive director of this program called this young man into his office and asked him, "What are you doing?" And he told him what he was doing. Everything I just explained to you, that's what he said he was doing. And he was like, "Nah, because these N words is going to be what they is. And what you're doing is you're messing up my money."
Oof.
And he fired him.
Hmm.
And he fired him. And it was around this time that I decided to go ahead, because before helping him with that program or helping him with the graduation thing, I didn't have a name. But it was from that point that I started to pull together ideas in my head for a program like that. Needless to say that program or halfway house was dissolved. But you know, I just don't want people to, come into the house and think that I want you here because of money. No, I want to see you succeed.
Now, and just based on what you shared with us today, you're building more than just a program. You're building futures.
Yes.
Now, in a 5-year period, where do you see Grace Forward Steps?
In a 5-year period, I because just because of the structure that I want this program to have. So in 5 years, I'm looking to have, you know, uh, buildings that I can bring people into, bring returning citizens, bring recovering addicts into this building, and that everything in my program is in this building. It's like a apartment building, where and it's big enough that I can keep, that I can separate the men from the women, and but I want multiple buildings. And in 5 years, I want to see the recidivism rate diminish tremendously.
You got big faith.
Yeah, I do.
For those watching who are moved by this work, how can they help? What are the most urgent needs right now?
Well, right now, the most urgent need is a building and staff. So we in the grassroots stage, so to speak. We're in a grassroots stage, and we just trying to just kickstart this thing and get it off the ground. And I just have big faith. And even though I'm looking at it to start with a house, I'm looking forward to expand into not only a house but buildings where we can offer housing and all this kind of stuff, but also jobs. Grace Cafe, which we do online. I want that to be a actual thing. Something that they can, while they're there, they can get job training on that, and then go on to bigger and better things. So, I'm I'm thinking big. My faith is big in this area, so I'm just want to get it off the ground, because this is basically because of where I come from or what I've been through. This is my legacy. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, any final word of encouragement for those who've been impacted by incarceration or addiction?
If I had to give a final word of encouragement, I would say that
And look at the camera. Talk to the people. Look at the camera.
incarceration and drug programs are basically an illusion. I know you think you're trapped in that, but it's just a matter of changing your thinking. Change your thinking, change your life. And I know that it's hard depending on where you've been, what you've been through. I know it's hard, and I get it. But at the same time, you have to trust in the fact that it's somebody out there bigger than you that wants to help you get to that next level. And if you put that faith in that one, then you can get to that next level. And let us help you do that. Amen.
Amen. Well, we want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to information about Grace Forward Steps Reentry Program.
Thank you.
Executive Director
Thank you, man.
Dwain Lynch. We're excited about the program. And at the end of this broadcast, you will see again the information necessary to give and support this amazing program. It's a program that's going to change lives and reduce recidivism.
Yes,
So thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for this next video.
And welcome on behalf of Dwain Lynch, President and Executive Director of Grace Forward Steps Reentry Program. Did you know that around 650,000 returning citizens and recovering addicts are released into the community every year. 2/3 of that number are either rearrested or relapsed. More than half of that number return to prison or treatment within 1 to 3 years. The Grace 4 Steps Reentry Program is a faith-based nonprofit organization with a mission to house, educate, and assist returning citizens and recovering addicts to reacclimate themselves back into society. Our vision is to reduce recidivism and relapse by offering services and tools to our participants that will help them to stabilize themselves effectively and sufficiently back into the community, helping them become productive citizens, reconnecting with their loved ones, and reforming their lives for better living. We are asking for your support in providing life-changing opportunities for our participants. Every contribution saves someone's life. Every dollar helps, and we are always grateful for any and every amount received. So do us a favor, go text the letters GFSR to 1-833-536-0718. Thank you in advance for choosing to donate to our organization.